What is up, my dashing dudes? I am TheHanzTv, and today we're diving right back into some entitlement, but not what you're used to, because today we're diving back in to r/entitled people. Our first post for the day comes from Feral Moonlight. Woman tries to take my dog after claiming I'm abusing a puppy. So this happened a while ago, and I thought I'd share. I'm on mobile, blah. English is my second language, but I'm actually more proficient at it than my first, so feel free to correct any mistakes. Little backstory. I have a beautiful Belgian Malinois / Quichond mix dog, whom I've had since he was a puppy. He kinda looks like a young shepherd, and many people will run in to ask me if he's still very young, and are surprised when I tell them he is 5. He is very energetic and playful, and loves to run, so I suppose I get the confusion. Anyway, a while ago, I decided to take my dog to play in the woods close to my hometown. It is a wide open area where lots of people come to walk their dogs. My dogs love it there, and get super excited when we arrive. Aside from him being very energetic, he is also very athletic and nimble, and loves to jump over things. I should probably do agility with him. So at some point, I collected 2 long branches and made them into a cross hurdle between 2 trees that were growing very close together, like those that horses jump across. My dog absolutely loved jumping the makeshift hurdle, and we had lots of fun. Until entitled lady, EL, showed up. EL, excuse me, you need to stop doing that immediately. Me, confused, excuse me, what? EL, you cannot make a puppy do jumps that high. That is animal abuse and you need to stop now. Me, chuckling a little. Oh, I see, no. He's not a puppy anymore. He is 5. EL, don't lie. This dog is clearly too young to be doing this. Hand him over or I will call the police. You are clearly abusing him. Me, what? Lady, I would think I know my own dog's age. Please leave us alone. EL then proceeds to grab my dog, who has run up to her, tail wagging to say hello, by the collar, and tries to walk away with him, cooing at him that she will take him away from the abusive women, and Mummy will take care of you. This makes me panic, and I run up to her to take my dog back. As soon as I do this, the lady starts yelling and tries to slap me. I immediately put my dog on the leash and run away with him as fast as I can. I am still a bit shocked that this happened, as I had never expected to meet an entitled person in my life, but I know better now. Man, people really do be making up any kind of excuses to steal your shit these days. Our next post comes from Twitchin' Fur. Karen calls cops on Amazon driver. Hello everyone, and I hope you are having a good day / night, whatever time it is for you as you read this. I am on mobile, so please be kind with the remarks. I would like to first say that this story is not my own. I did not get the pleasure of meeting these amazing people. This story is from my coworker that I got permission to post on his behalf, so I will type as though from his point of view to not confuse anyone. For security purposes, names and areas will be changed. Amazon drivers already deal with enough, lol. Here is the story, hope you guys enjoy. This just happened yesterday, and I am still trying to gather my thoughts. I was driving a route that was given to me when I came into a neighborhood where there were some cones on the road, close to the curb to let other drivers know that there were kids playing outside. These cones were the small, regular orange ones with a light at the top of it, to make them more noticeable. The kids were playing in the yard, which was very big to run around on, without running into the streets. They were nowhere close to the road at all. Despite what people have said about Amazon drivers, we usually do follow the rules since we have the people at the warehouse, including Amazon, watching us. I was driving a little below the speed limit since I saw the cones on the road, and wanted to be respectful. Apparently, this wasn't slow enough for the mother who was outside watching the kids. She decided to start walking to my van, and for her safety, I started slowing down so I didn't hurt her, since she was getting closer to my van. As she is walking, she's yelling at me. EM, slow down, there are kids playing outside and your reckless driving could hurt someone. Me, no, I was driving the speed limit. Plus, your kids are nowhere near the road. I can see your cones and know that there are kids playing. EM, I don't care if they are in the road or not. You need to be more considerate of other people than yourself. This carried on for a few more minutes, me talking to her and her yelling at me. I didn't want to deal with her anymore, so I started driving off. She decided to get in front of my van in the middle of the road to stop me from driving. I yelled at her to move, and she put her hands on her hips to say, I'm not going anywhere. I didn't want to deal with this crazy lady anymore and needed to deliver more packages. So I turned my van to the left and then she moved to the left. I turned my van to the right and again she returned to the right. At this point, I'm a little past her driveway, so I start backing up and she started yelling at me more. EM, I know your job is hard, but you need to listen to me. Me, please just go away. EM, you need to stop driving so fast. At this point, the father comes outside and tells the mother to calm down and stop yelling. As I am backing up, I barely touch one of the cones on the ground. The father starts yelling about how I destroyed his cones and how expensive they are and tells me I owe them money for the cone. I park my van and the mother is extremely close to my van now. I open my door to look at the damage and the mother jumps in front of my door and starts crying that I hit her with my van. EM, you hit me with your van. I can't believe you hit me. Entitled father, I can't believe you just hit my wife. I'm calling the cops on you. You are not going anywhere. I get back in my van and call my dispatcher to let them know what's going on, so I don't get into trouble for being late to my next drop. Our deliveries are time-based, and we can get into trouble if we sit too long. The police arrive and they come up to me to ask about what happened. The father and mother jumps in first. EM, this man was speeding down the road at a high rate, and I tried yelling at him to slow down. He almost hit one of my kids. Then he got mad at me, telling him to slow down and reversed his van and destroyed our cones. Then he slammed his door into me, hurting me in the process. Entitled father, I paid a lot of money for those cones, and this guy destroys them all because he got mad at my wife. The cones are to protect the kids from drivers like him. He needs to pay for my cones. Me. You were both lying. I was driving a very slow speed when the mother decided that I was going too fast and stopped me in the middle of the road. Then when I tried to leave, I accidentally touched one of the cones, not even damaged, and the father started yelling at me and called you guys. As for hitting her, she jumped in front of my door as it opened. I assumed to falsify her getting hit. The officers look at the cones and see that there is no damage to it, and then went to the mother and told her, you know it's illegal in the state of Texas to stop a moving vehicle in the middle of the road. You are not allowed to block any kind of traffic. If anyone has to pay anything, it will be you paying a ticket. I asked the police if I may go and he said yes. I really don't like losing time and didn't want to be there longer than I needed to. I don't know what ended up happening to the mother or the father, but I wish I could have remembered their address so I could just put a little piece of paper at the door that reads, haha. Thank you for reading my coworker's story. I've had weird things happen to me before, but nothing like this. When he told me this story, I knew I just had to share it. Thanks. Also going back on their list of charges that should be updated, there's falsifying a police report, which I believe is a felony. So have fun with that, entitled parents. Our next post comes to us from Complex Turnover. I am the best sister, so I can keep everything and destroy your lives. So this aunt was a nightmare for my mom for different reasons. She used to bully and destroy everything my mom tried to do. My mom had to drop out of high school for a year because this bitch spread rumors about my mom. My mom almost committed suicide because of her multiple times. Anyway, years passed and my parents got married and this bitch moved to the US, specifically to Maryland. When I was 8, my mother underwent surgery so she could get rid of a tumor that she had in her head. Doctors had to get rid of her hypophysis, which means if my mom feels a heavy emotion, she may be prone to getting a cerebral embolism. I think that's a thing, and maybe die. Let's keep this in mind. She went to live there for several years, got a husband and 2 children, got divorced, etc. And most of those years it was calm in my city. But when I entered middle school in my second school, she decided it was a great idea to come to a house in front of mine. I never trusted her at all. I knew something was off. She went to my house to eat, ask for money, as she painted varied stuff, but ended up being the same thing every time. So she got 2 dogs and adopted a stray. No big deal. She also went to have almost 6 boyfriends in 8 months in a year. One of them was Muslim and he was an amazing guy. This aunt decided it would be a great idea to trick him and make him eat pork and drink alcohol without him noticing just to get sex. I know, stupid and disrespectful. She began tricking my grandma and making everything worse by the minute, began fights with my mother even after getting out of another surgery for her back, the first one of 3 for my mom. Shortly after this surgery, my grandpa died, and of course my mom fell into the depths of depression, which was hard for my older brother, father, and I to deal with. My aunt, let me refer to as the B, decided it was a great idea to fight with the family for my grandfather's heritage, while my grandmother was getting worse. My mother's oldest sister didn't know her father died until a friend of hers told her. The bee told my parents not to tell her other sister, which pissed me off a bit. My mom's older sis asked my father where the funeral was going to be in, and of course he told her. The bee was furious. She almost sent a hitman on my father. Her older sister had to make her stop, as she works with the law. A day or two went by, and my mother was going to move my grandpa's ashes to somewhere else, some kind of alcove with the bee. I get picked up from high school, and then the bee was nowhere to be found. My mom called her and asked, "Where the F are you?" To which the bee replied, "I'm off out with cousin to deliver the ashes to the alcove." My mom just lost it. She screamed at the top of her lungs, in the car, while in front of the house, windows and doors closed. "You were supposed to wait for me, you ungrateful bitch." Not her actual words, but it's difficult to translate. My brother heard my mother scream anyway from inside the house. My mom had a rush of emotions, and my father and I genuinely thought she was gonna die. My father, of course, protecting his wife, insulted the bee after trying to deal with her. Then the bee sent me a message. "You'll understand why I did it someday." F no, I answered. "I will not understand anything you did, and I don't want to. What you did was wrong on so many levels. I see now you're as stupid and idiotic as your mother." Oh boy, I just lost it. I answered her with, "Look, you ungrateful moron. You came back so we could give you everything you freaking wanted, while you went to freak and be the slut you are, so you can get rid of us and try to ruin our lives? Honestly, I hope you fail miserably in everything you've done so far. You're not welcome in my house or near my parents ever again. Do so and you'll be sorry." You know, I have lots of legal contacts. Anyway, she just told me to get it. I told her to F off and blocked her everywhere. Days go by, and my mother has to get another brain operation to get rid of the tumor's residue. We did, and my mom's oldest sister was taking care of her. That morning, apparently my grandma, my mom's oldest sis, and the bee went to have some lunch, and the bee somehow convinced them that my family is a family made out of criminals. The bee took a photo of my grandma in underwear for some reason, added a fake signature of my dad, and used a fake phone number and sent it to her, as if my dad was telling her what he's done. And that was it. That's all it took to convince them. My mother's oldest sis went to my mom's hospital room 30 minutes after surgery and began screaming at her and insulting our whole family. My mom got really bad, and the doctors and nurses basically kicked her out of the hospital. We moved cities, and we eventually found out that she was spreading rumors about us, that my dad betrayed the family and hired whores, that my mother destroyed everything in her family, that my brother was gay, religious and homophobic grandma and aunts, and that I was a rakist, even though I've never done anything like that. I don't know if she's still trying to spread those rumors, but now, at least, my family is happier being away from her. She still wants everything in my grandparents' heritage and to get rid of us one way or another. Jesus Christ, man, I just feel bad for you, I honestly do. I hope everything gets better for you and your family. Our final post for the day comes from Alazaris, band trip weirdo. When I was priority boarded on a band trip to San Antonio due to my autism, as is the line's policy, especially since I would be on a layover, and they were making a note of where I sat exactly, since it wasn't assigned seating, so that they could come and make sure I didn't leave the plane, as is another of their policies. A chaperone for said trip, who I had never met before this, stepped forward and demanded to be boarded with me, as she was my helper, which she definitely wasn't, as I'm high functioning and didn't need that. They let her on even though they checked my doctor's notes and didn't check anything of hers. But then she got angry when they kept bothering her by asking why she wasn't sitting with me, as she sat in front of me, being my anxious self sat in the back, as I had read it was the safest place in case of impact. She didn't seem to understand why they were making sure she wasn't going to sit anywhere near me. When we headed home, she did the same thing with the same results. People, wait your turn in line. Don't be an asshole. Well, alright my dashing dudes, that is going to do it for today's episode of r/EntitledPeople. I hope you liked the stories, and if you did, I'll link them down in the description below, as always. And if you liked the video, feel free to subscribe, drop a like, and a comment down below with what you'd like to see me read next. A humongous thank you to everyone who has subscribed in the past few months. I cannot say how thankful I am for you, my dashing dudes. But with that being said, I will see you in the next video.